Hello everyone, this class is led by Tatiana Zubova, an artist and an art teacher, and I'm glad to meet you on our today's lesson. Today we're going to create a painting basing on a relatively famous work of modern artist Grapes and talk about different interesting color mixing and light shadow effects, so it's going to be an interesting lesson. Prepare your paints, brushes and canvases. We're starting. I've chosen 30 to 20 format for this work. It's a medium size that I recommend you just to try. And the best format for this painting is 30 to 45 or in similar proportions. Choose something bigger. Just for training and trying it out, not big format is enough. But I want to remind you that taking a bigger format is better. So which colors am I going to use? Titanium white, these are all oil paints, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium yellow light, cadmium red deep, metallic rose or alizarin crimson, metallic red, cobalt violet deep, phthalo blue, ultramarine, indigo, and burnt sienna. It's a big set of paints. You can use a smaller one. Of course, I could have used a smaller set as well as titanium white, one yellow, you can use either medium or light, one red, one raspberry, two blue colors, and a brown. These colors would be pretty enough, but if you want, you can use extra colors, of course. Also, I have a paint thinner, turpentine, without order. You can take any other thinner for oil paints which you're used to paint with. Then prepare a lot of tissues or use pieces of toilet paper, and they will serve us for wiping off our brushes, palette knives, and keep your desk clean. Okay, we don't really need anything else. It depends on you. We start from taking a thick and stiff brush, I have a small bristle brush, and a thinner, and sketching our drawing. I'm taking a raspberry paint, it's metallic rose. And what are we starting with? Of course, it's a general contour of the subject. Let's outline the height. Grape is going to be the main object of our work, and we'll put it into our frames. Now you can already outline the main contour of your drawing. And now let's look globally at this subject, not at each grape berry separately, but at the whole picture. What do we see? We see that we have four big areas. A light side, a shadow part, again a light part, and a shadow part. So these are the parts that we should divide our work into. Let's also take this general contour. Of course, we can see how much place is taken by each part. You can do it right now by sight. And then you can just make the position of each object more detailed. So here, it's not so important to put everything exactly into this contour. So we'll make it all randomly by sight. We got the general contour, and now let's divide it into more detailed parts. This is a shadow part, a central one. If you want, you can measure it. And the upper part should be smaller than a lower part. In our case, we can even make it a bit lower. So we can make it a bit higher to move the central part a bit forward. You see that we have sketched the main big areas, and we can move further. In the frames of our areas, we have lighter and darker parts. Let's start from this big one. What do we see here? This is a light part and a darker part that is turning into half shade and a complete shadow. Each of these parts can be considered as a separate dimensional shape. If you see this part as a cylinder is made of two ellipses and it looks like a can, and each of these parts has a light and a shadow. and so on. So we have a light area right here, the area where it is becoming a half shade. The grape berries are situated on the verge of the form. They are really important objects, and we'll pay our attention to them. And the other objects are in the half shadow or even in the shadow that we can even paint not too thoroughly. That will be our background and give volume, complementing all our construction. The objects in the lower part are also in the shadow and they're not so important for us now. If you want, you can already paint some grape berries even now. First of all, we need the grapes that influence something. How to understand that something depends on them. First of all, please look at the objects that are on the verge of the form when the light goes into the darkness. And here we actually see these berries. Let's sketch them right now. They're pretty big and they will play an important role. You can already match their sizes. You can sketch the biggest ones, and the other will be painted later. Here you can also see a pretty bright berry. We'll paint it. And something in the background will be painted later. So, we have shown this part. Let's go further. A berry is hanging on the lower part. It's a big one. And some smaller ones. Let's put some more berries to the sides. You can start with the bigger ones and then paint smaller berries. Please pay your attention to the whole picture. First of all, the contour should be beautiful. One berry is going out here. Then let's move upper. We have important objects in the upper part of the painting. As you see, by the word important, I mean the objects that you see immediately. Those are the objects with good lighting and that influence the whole volume of the construction. So we'll outline these parts as important ones. You can start with any of them. Start with those that you like. Then anyway, you'll fill in the details or make them, and so on. You can already outline these ones. Then you'll correct them if you don't like the size. In the middle, put this round berry that looks at us with its bottom. Then let's move to the other side and put a berry here. On the upper part, we can paint one more. And we can see a part of the bunch that is holding our grapes. And let's look at these deep and dark berries. And now we'll see if we need to make something bigger or smaller. Let's put some grapes here in the darkness. Please pay your attention to their size. They should be similar, not to make them too big on one side and too small on the other side. Although it can be like this too when we have grown-up berries and smaller ones. Let's put one more berry on this side. It's an important one. And sketch some more over here. So these are the basic ones. And now we'll fill it in with color. Let's outline the dark berries. I'm taking indigo, cobalt violet deep, and put these shades here, marking the dark berries. Look how easily and quickly we're doing it. Put a circle and just hatch it. Now it's important just to mark this part as a deep one. We can even cover this whole area with a dark paint, but we'll make it quicker like this. So these are the dark berries in the deep. Somewhere you can add more indigo. This whole part is also dark. You can even cover the whole contour with these general strokes. You can use blue ones here. This is the dark part. Then you can use more metallic red or even brown. And we'll paint darker ones on the lower part. And even blue ones a bit upper. We already have a light separation. The dark part is more red, and in the middle we have more blue colors. I'm taking metallic and highlighting these areas between the objects. Look, we already have general shapes here. Metallic together with violet is in the upper part. If we have bluer objects inside, then now redder objects are appearing. We're filling them in with big strokes. And let's put a dark color to this side. Now I'm taking a lighter color, it's pink, together with a red one, and using it here. With a pure pink color, I'm filling in these areas. I'm taking this color again and painting here. And again, pink and red. And we go further. I'm outlining lighter objects and medium ones. Here we already have a highlighted effect, but not at once. Then I'm taking orange tints, these two yellow ones, plus pink. I'm painting orange areas. We're filling in the brightest areas where we can see the bright light. Let's outline it. And here, even a brighter one. Beautiful. So, what are we going to do now? We can take blue tints. I'm going to use one more thick and sturdy brush, the same, and using blue and gray blue tints, I'm showing these areas, the light ones. We're outlining the bright light. I'm moving lower, doing the same. I've painted on these berries, highlighting the most voluminous ones. Beautiful. And let's paint a bright berry here on the background. Its upper part is highlighted too. So, my friends, we've created a general sketch and we can paint a background now. Please remember where the object is situated on the white background. And now we're going to change the situation. We're going to fill the background. I'm taking a bristle brush and a thinner. And here you can mix whatever you like. You can use an orange color, I'm taking it, add some blue to it, and get a greenish tint. As far as I see, there's an orange background and there was hatching on top of it, but we don't have so much time for drying it, so we'll work quicker. I'm taking greener tints for the upper part, and for the lower one, we can use lighter and redder tints, even more orange. I'm quickly filling in the background. By getting upper, I'm adding bluer tints. And this is what I've told you about. Remember the perception of this object on the white background, and then compare what's going to be when we fill in the background. You can remember the timeline right now, and then rewind it back and forth to compare the perception. First of all, pay your attention to these berries over here and here, which are lighter, and see how they will be perceived. Let's fill it in. It's very important because we perceive everything as a whole. By doing this, we highlight the general contour. Going upper, I'm adding more blue tints and even dark blue. You can even connect it with the object. The background should also be among the objects. It has a big influence on them. I'm mixing pink, yellow, and a little blue. Greener tints appear a bit lower, and the upper part remains blue and dark blue. You can even add white to highlight this tint and make it blue-gray. Going down, we can add more yellow tints, orange ones. We can also make lower area darker. Look, even now we can see how the objects have changed. And the glow has appeared step by step. Now we can take a smaller brush and encircle the objects. Going up, we're adding more blue and green. Just connect the background to the subjects. The background is ready, and we can now make our berries more detailed. You can start your detailed elaboration with any berries, for example, with those that seem more important for you. Let's start with this central one, and we'll work simultaneously on all of them. Now, for example, we'll take this light tint. It's more gray-blue, titanium white plus violet, and dark blue. And we can add a bit of brown here. We'll outline the light areas, but won't make them too light. We're doing it step by step. And you can immediately hatch the light part. I'm taking a thicker brush. And now we can change the size of these berries. For example, I'll make this one a bit bigger. Here it's better not to use the thinner because now I've used it, and that's not what we need. I always spin the brush so that the paint would stay on its tip. Let's also outline a light area here in the upper part. We can hatch it now. In parallel, we can also work with the background. I'm just highlighting the shape of this berry. I'm moving further, showing all the light areas. After that, we can work with darker ones that are situated inside of this object. The grape is an object that lets the light through itself. We're going to highlight it now. I'm mixing the raspberry tint with the red one, and also we can add some yellow. And we get a bright burning carrot tint. Right now I'm shaping the light. Don't forget the berry is a dimensional sphere. The middle is bright raspberry color. I'm wiping off the brush after every stroke. Here I'm also adding a bright raspberry tint and connecting it with the upper dusty part. Again, red raspberry and a bit yellow. By using this orange tint, we're highlighting the burning areas. It's a very bright and powerful tint that is setting this area on fire. If we add a bit white to the raspberry, it'll highlight the color. And even burning red over here. Find a light and a shadow part of each berry. The connections are not always even. Again, let's highlight these burning areas. And then make them darker. Now let's use metallic red. We're highlighting darker parts now. We're finding the curves and hatching them. We use the raspberry and the red one. Add a bit of violet here. Each berry should have a volume. Then we're painting brighter orange fragments. I'm making them a bit pinker. And highlighting the boundaries with yellow. Here, let's make a bright berry. I've outlined the general contour first. Then matched it with the background. And then filled it in. Here we have pinkish tints, even reddish. They're shining bright. In the deep, they're becoming more yellow. They will look especially beautiful next to the violet tints. And then we find some more light yellow objects. We see a bright berry here. The light yellow berry will glow from the inside. We have calmer tints here. I'm adding more bright orange onto the lower part of this berry. And you can already connect the light and the shadow by hatching. You can use violet to show the in-between tints. I wipe off the brush from time to time. Here I'm using pink and yellow tints. Now we can highlight the shadows between the berries. For example, these violet-gray tints we add them into the area between these berries. This shadow is gradually going down. A bit more violet. And let's show darker parts of berries. Somewhere you can use brown tints. Especially in the deep and dark parts. And now we're painting these violet and pink parts in the dark areas. Of course, we need to add some lighter zones. We'll use white, violet, and blue tints. We're making very thick strokes in the light areas. And we're gradually connecting it with the middle parts of the berries. You can use your little finger to lean on it. We're painting very thick light. I've taken a smaller brush. We're shaping the light like this. I continue taking these shiny tints. A bit lower, we're using darker ones. I'm going to add metallic rose. Gradually, we're going down to the darker part. I'm mixing metallic red and cobalt violet deep. Again, I took a thick synthetic brush. Metallic red and cobalt violet deep. At the beginning, I'm painting general contour, the big berries. And all this line of berries is painted with this metallic red tint. Going down, we're using metallic red and cobalt violet deep or dark blue. We don't need to paint in details in the shadows, but you need to show these gentle light shifts. As you can see, now I'm outlining the general contour, and gradually I'm making metallic red and blue berries out of the deep violet ones. I'm adding these calm gray-blue tints. You need to make very gentle gradients. You can already hatch the shape of the berries. Some green tints are appearing. The blue ones are brighter, and you can see the highlight, a light area. A bit less light over here. Look, I'm immediately hatching it. In the shadows, you can use warm brown tint. And let's add this shiny metallic on the other side. I always wipe off the brush. Let's add orange tints to the light areas. And then go to a deeper ones. Don't forget about darker light. I mean these flares. And of course a small flare here, which we need to smear a bit. All your movements are very gentle. Now we have whitened a cold indigo tint. It's so gloomy. And it goes to the light parts of these dark areas. And if we use a whitened indigo in the warm parts, then we use metallic tints in the dark and deep areas. It's the main shape of the object. I'm adding red tints into the dark. They are even brighter and shinier. I'm taking a red one and a raspberry one. They are very deep. Let's add some more raspberry tints. These tints are already blue. And you can already hatch each berry. Do you see how many tints we have used in the dark? We've got very vivid darkness. Now let's add more details to these protruding berries. Over here. I'm using metallic red and cobalt violet deep. It's a big berry. Now let's make this berry more pink. And let's make the middle part brighter. Then let's paint these highlighted parts inside. And outline the berries in the deep with darker tints. I'm painting flares here. and adding reflexes. Now these tints have become more active next to the blue. We're adding bright gaps here. Like this, our objects become brighter. And we're going down. Here I'm making one more berry longer. I'm adding pink and orange tints. And a bit of red. Don't forget to fill in the gaps. There shouldn't be any of them. I'm taking metallic and brown together with violet and cover an upper part here. I'm starting with this basic berry. I'm also working on this light dusty area. I'm doing the same with the next berries. In the gaps, you can add the background, at least generally. And I'm starting to paint the dark areas. I'm outlining the contour. This part of the painting is important for us. The basic mass is filled with metallic red and a little violet. Metallic red plus a little violet. Some more metallic. After that, we can add a bit dust. In the deep, we don't need any details, but it also shouldn't be too homogeneous. You need to separate gently the light and the darkness. Here we make this berry a bit blue and paint light around the berry. We're working on this berry now. We're mixing indigo and ultramarine. Leaving the dark berries in the deep. Here we take brown and metal lake and outline the shadow of this berry, not only here, but also to the lower one. The lower berry is also diving into darkness. And we're making the lower layer brighter. Let's put more orange and pink to the lower side of this berry. We are removing extra light from here. In parallel, I'm adding some color to this berry. I'm adding more light with such interesting yellow inclusions. And gradually shading it a little bit. Let's add some more red tints into the deep. And now let's work with this interesting bright group. We're showing the darkness on the verge of the form. Now we're using redder tints in the deep. Let's elaborate this glowing part and make it deeper. And here are bright and shiny orange tints. Now some more glow inside. And let's outline this berry with a highlighted area. Also, let's add a dark blue tint. We can see a lot of berries inside, and we're outlining them gently. In the lower part, we're using dark tints. And now the lowest ones. As you see, here we made them dark blue, and lower they are more metallic and shiny. We're painting one more berry on the side. And one more berry. And another one a bit further. Let's refresh our paints. A bit cadmium red light. And a bit metallic red. Let's make the lower part shiny. You can take a softer brush The light is very gentle. Let's work with this drop. I'm showing the shadows on this berry. Now we're working simultaneously with all berries. I'm taking brown and metallic. On the border between two berries, it's necessary to see which is darker and which is lighter. Let's add some more orange tints, but be careful with them. You can also take red and raspberry red tints. I'm taking medium blue and a bit lighter tints here. Let's leave the shadow from this berry and then paint a bit gloomy violet tints. I'm adding calm and deep tints into the lower berries. They're not too flaring, but you can see that the berries are separate. We start playing with the light. Here it's cold. I'm painting with raspberry violet tints in this shadow, making it redder. We're highlighting the shadow area, and then there will be the reflexes a bit lower. After that, we can paint a flare. We're putting some dust onto the half of this berry. Work gently and don't hurry. I'm adding a bit more violet. And a shadow falling from the upper berry. We're spreading the shadow in the place where they touch each other. And then we're gradually going down. I'm putting some flares here. Some of them can be surrounded by the color of the background. Now let's put some brighter flares. A bit more neutral, closer to violet. Here we're painting a thick flare. And further, we're putting some thinner ones. We're adding more active blue flares. And our berry is becoming more crystal. Let's brush our work up. And let's add some more active bright areas. We're adding some more red and pink. Now red and raspberry. And some orange into the shadow. Next to the shadow, these shiny areas. Let's add some transparency in the deep. And then we're painting the branches. I'm taking indigo and a little brown. We're painting them here and moving to the berries. Make them a bit thicker. Add such areas next to the berries. And a little bit of light here. We're doing it also next to these berries here. And now, as for the upper areas, you can see that there are some branches in the light. Let's make a couple of movements because the paint is put with difficulty on this light area. And here you can work with a thinner and longer brush. You paint a couple of different branches. Let's add some light areas to our branches. And now let's look at the whole work in general and see what we need to remove and what we need to add and what we need to correct. First of all, let's finish some branches here. We can change a shape and highlight the berry by rounding it off. We can remove some violets from the deep and make them more indigo and even dark blue. Let's add some dark blue here. In general, I'm just cleaning out extra violets. Here I'm doing the background a bit lighter. And this one I'm making darker and redder. Now let's see if we want to add lighter and brighter flares. I'm taking a whiter tint and painting the brightest parts. I'm working with thick paint. This whole bunch is on the light, then it's diving into the shadow, and then going out to the light again. Here we're also putting some light flares. Look, our bright yellow berries are very active. They're going out of the shadow, and the lower part is calmer and nobler. Also, I'd like to pay your attention that the darkness is different everywhere. In the upper part, we have more metallic. In the middle, we have more blues and violets. Going down, we see many reds. And at the bottom, there are a lot of red and raspberry tints. My friends, our study in oils is completed. We have a juicy and tasty bunch of grapes. I wish you to have good pieces of work, and I hope that you have learned something new, interesting, and useful today. Don't forget to leave your comments. I'm waiting for you on the next lessons. Wish you all the best. Bye!